Welcome to the holiest rave of the year. Get out your Bibles and your lighters, baby. Oh, crap. I think it ruined the whole thing. This snow did not work.
Welcome to Jasco Goods. You guys seem to really love the Christmas house I did a few weeks ago, and you left me all kinds of great comments and suggestions. So I took your feedback and I went bigger, way bigger.
It's so big, Daddy.
Today I'm building a full 3D Christmas church that's lit from the inside, and I'm using the same cheap picket fence materials that I did last time. And just a heads up, one of the most popular repeated suggestions that I got almost ruined the whole project at the end.
It's ruined!
But I was sort of able to save it. You guys could be the judge of that. And I think it came out pretty amazing.
Pat on the back. Come on.
Now enough talking, let's get to building. Not including like window trim and everything like that, I'm gonna try to build this whole church out of one board. It's gonna be really tight, but let me give it a try. I got a lot of complaints from anti-fartists about my last video and all the fart sounds they heard. So in the holiday spirit, I'm gonna try to make this video fart-free.
I need to cut two pieces, the first two pieces at 13 inches.
Now I don't have any plans for this, I'm just kind of making it up as I go. I mean, I kind of planned it out a little bit when I was watching a Transformers cartoon. I mean 60 minutes. But other than that, I'm just making this up on the fly. So it could change, it could come out messed up, who knows?
Okay, when you're done, you should have two 8-inch pieces, two 10-inch pieces, and two 13-inch pieces. And this is all I have left. I don't think that's enough to do the roofs and the base of this thing. So I already lost the one picket challenge.
Loser.
Now I'm gonna use my table saw and I'm gonna rip each board into two halves. Not equal halves, but basically two strips.
Okay, now set your table saw to 3 3/8.
Now, if you used a 5 3/8 picket like I did, you should have one piece that's 3 3/8 and the other little piece should be about 2 inches. Then you just need to repeat that for all 6 boards. So now that all my boards are cut, I'm doing a little dry run. I'm just putting rubber bands on them to hold them together. This is the shape you're gonna put them in. You're gonna have the 3 3/8 pieces on the front and the back and the 2 2-inch pieces on the sides. Now, one design change that I already decided to do just in this dry run is on this front right here. This is where the front door is gonna go for the church. I'm not doing the backboard. You see how the other two have backboards? They're a square. I don't need it on there, so I saved a little bit of a board right there. I was gonna use that back as part of the roof, so I was gonna Wonder Woman. Sorry, my handsomeness sometimes knocks her out. Not your breath. Shut up. Okay, so here's the design change. I totally am not gonna be able to do this out of one picket because I'm gonna take this third tower, the middle tower, and I'm gonna get rid of that. And instead I'm gonna put a long like area where the people would sit, and I'm gonna put multiple windows on here. And then this will have like a roof like this. All right, I just thought of something else. You guys are gonna be like, I'm done watching this channel. I'm gonna have to, if I do that, what I just said, I'm gonna have to attach this to this somehow. So I thought, why try to attach it when I can just incorporate it? So instead of cutting just an 8-inch piece and trying to attach it to the side, I'm gonna make this go all the way over. Okay, so here's what I was talking about. I'm gonna run this the full length. So this is 12 inches now. I'll give you this dimension. I'm gonna give you all new dimensions. And then this is gonna be your front. Right now we're gonna lay out the windows and the doors on this board, the front of this. This board right here is gonna have a window, and then I'm gonna put some windows in this. So let's lay those out. Another thing would be helpful to mark the center. Alexa, what's half of 3 3/8 in a mixed fraction?
That equals 1 7/8.
And I'm like the broke Tony Stark. Who's Iron Man? I'm Woodman. Okay, so the center of your board is gonna be 1 7/8. Alexa is way off. Is she drunk? Okay, so I just figured it out myself. It's 1 and 11/16 is the center. So I'm gonna do the height of the door at 3 inches. Okay, I have like 4 hours of footage of me laying these things out. But instead of making you guys watch all that, I took 3 days, 3 8-hour days, and I made plans for you guys. Now, I'm just learning to do this, so hopefully everything turned out right, but you'll have the plans and the video, so I think you'll be able to figure this out. Now, it's not super complicated, but I think that me just sitting here showing you everywhere to measure everything would just take way too long, and you guys would get bored. Then you'd click off my video, go watch some political stuff that would just make you mad. I'm gonna make all these doors rounded at the top because my doors and windows and stuff I'm gonna be able to make rounded. If you don't have that capability, you square yours off like I did in the last video. You just make yours squares. I'm gonna start with the big wall. The first thing I'm gonna do is drill holes wherever my little skinny holes so I can see where the other side is. Everywhere I put my little center punch holes. Now I'm gonna take the Forstner bit and I'm gonna start on this side. I got a piece of scrap wood underneath of it. Then I'm gonna flip it and I'm gonna start from this side. Now I did this so it would give me a cleaner hole like those Cottonelle wipes, but it didn't work out too good. For some reason it keeps spinning right off of the marks. Do it again. I'm gonna try to sharpen my Forstner bit a little bit. See if that'll help. People hate to hear this, but these are my Ryobi Forstner bits. All right, let me try it again. I'm gonna clamp it down too. I'm gonna drill a hole in this scrap wood first and then use this as a template. So for the rest of the holes, I just used this template that I made out of this 1x material, and it kept the board from sliding around while I was drilling the holes. Then I drilled holes in the bottom corners, so I had a starting point for my jigsaw blade to cut out the rest of the window. All right, this size is a 1 inch, and I have a 1 inch in my Irwin. Let's see if Irwin, like it's a dude. Let's see if Irwins are better than the Ryobis. Look at that. Clean as a whistle. Actually, I've never had a clean whistle. Have you? Okay, so I just clamped this together and then I'm gonna use my speed square and figure out I'm gonna have to cut, like I said, this top at a 45-degree angle. So right about there looks good. Oops. Then I'll flip it to this side and do the same exact thing. Right there. What part of the church would this be called? Anyways, this is how I have to cut this end one, just like this end board, and then I'm gonna cut these at a 45 on my table saw. Okay, so here's the end. This was the tall tower. I'm using it as a roof now. So I gotta cut these at a 45 too, so they go together at a 45 at the top. Because I'm gonna cut this at a 45 too, so it's like straight across. What do you guys think? I think that'll look better. Oh no, I hear my wife home. She's gonna come in. Why does it smell like crap in here? Well, why do you think it smells like crap in here? As soon as she comes in, just be like, I'm the man in this house. Who are you to tell me what to do? Don't take her crap.
I'm on to you today.
Hi, I love you, I missed you.
Pathetic.
Okay, so here's where I'm at so far. I just put it together with some rubber bands and a couple clamps just so I can get a look at it and see, is this gonna work? Is there anything I need to change? You can see right here where the roof meets the tower, there's a gap. So I'm gonna take this and that's gonna be my roof panel. I'm gonna cut that. So it's gonna cover that hole right there. There's a little hole right there, but I have it on this side that I didn't account for. I'm gonna put one of these on there to cover that. And on the top of this, I'm gonna cut it at a 45 and put a little roof on that and cut a window into this thing. I know this is hard to keep up with. It's like changing as I go, as I'm making it up. I just wanted you guys to see this process of how I come up with this stuff that I'm gonna make. And then of course, after this, we're gonna trim it out. I'm gonna cut these at a 45. I'm gonna wait until this is together so I can cut these at a 45 and it cuts everything evenly.
I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm putting a 45 on both sides of my roof panels. This right here is my nave roof. That's the name of that part where everybody sits in the church, a nave. You might have actually just learned something from my channel. And here's the plans for the nave. Now you can screenshot this now, but I'm gonna put all the plans in a downloadable file and put a link in the description of the video.
It's hard to believe this is gonna be something. But anyways, this is the side piece I was telling you about, and that's the tall side of remember the side of it? I told you I had to put that on there to block the little roof things. That's it right there. I'm gonna drill a hole in it so there's a window on this side too. That matches the other side.
I'm drilling both of them at the same time so I can make sure the holes line up. It's no problem for the Irwin bits.
So I got the church laid out from left to right, and this is the front door. These are the front door sides. I'm gonna assemble them in pieces like that. I'm gonna start with the front door. I'm gonna pin nail all this stuff. And this is the side piece that goes on the side door. I drilled a hole for a window in there. And then this is the tower, the back tower, their bell tower. That's the top part. These are the two sides. The holes are drilled for the wires to come through. And I'll show you the placement. It's not real crucial as long as you can get a wire through it. I just went with 1 inch because that was the bit I had in there. And then this is the church itself. I'm a little worried because you can see where I laid out the first church part and it's messed up, you're gonna be able to see that inside. So I may sand this down a little bit or figure out a way to cover that up. And then I got a hole right here for the lights. You know, that's where the front door is gonna be. It's gonna come in, that's how I'm gonna get lights to the door. That's the side wall and window, and then that's the roof. I haven't done the roofs for these yet because I want to get them put together and then measured out.
I have to use a different bottle of glue because some people didn't like the noise my last one made.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
We wanna go get some.
Okay. It's too late. You're already in there all. Love you too. Front door section is done.
Then next I assembled the back tower section.
Okay, so now I got to cut these two roofs into a 45. So I'm going to just mark the center. I still have the center marked from before, so I'm just going to transfer it to the top so I can see it. So after you find your center on the top, you can take your speed square, put it up against that line, and then just transfer it to the front. Now for this piece, I put this block on the inside because it kept bowing in on me. So I just put it in there for support and to keep it from twisting in.
Then I just cut it right on that line using my miter saw. Here's a view from the other angle. Qua-bam! Roof peak.
So this is the back tower. This is the front tower. I got the two peaks cut into them. Oh. I got the two peaks cut into them. This reminds me of one of them playgrounds. Remember them little rocket metal playgrounds when you were a kid? And they had like a slide coming out of them and stuff like that. And you climb up to the top. Or maybe it's just me. Okay, so I'm about to attach the back of the nave. I'm about to put that on. And notice it's sanded now. I sanded all them pencil marks off. So it kind of looks cool because when you put it on the front, it looks like the inside of the building. Like it's a different texture, you know? I don't know. Or maybe it's just me. I'm kind of weird.
Okay, so now I'm adding the back and the front of the nave to the bell tower. I'm just using glue and nails like before. And I thought this would be an awesome time to beg for those subscriptions, the likes, hit that smell notification, share it with somebody. Maybe you have somebody that's slow like me. You want to inspire them. Hey, look, if this guy can do it, you can do it. Send it to him. Help a slow brother out.
Well, bam. I kind of pulled the Jasco here because I still got the entry to put on here. I got all this part together, but I got the entry to put on and I don't really have a good way to nail it. I didn't think about it when I was doing it. I could have done it a little differently and came up, but that's what you do these stereotypes. Oh my goodness. That's what you do these prototypes for. I'm a stereotype. So what I was thinking was, I don't know if you remember, I made this brace earlier for this part. I had it in there like this. It's turning the brace like this. Wood glue would hold this all day long. I just got to wait for it to dry now. So I'm going to glue it, but I think I'm going to put this brace in here and then nail it through the back, through this side. You see what I'm saying? Through the door. So here's that piece I made to cover these 45s that you can see.
I'm just going to butter it up like a toaster strudel. Do I talk about food more than a cooking channel? I'm going to have to change the name to Jasco Foods and start giving recipes.
And this is the little roof that's going to go above that. I need to put a little bit of glue on this side too. What do you think so far? I'm trying to figure out the base for this thing so I can get it all ready to go when I put the lights in so they're not hanging out of the bottom. I was going to originally use a 1x6, but as you can see, a 1x6 is about a 1/4 inch too short. So now I'm going to have to cut down a 1x8. A 1x6 is basically a picket, so I couldn't use a picket as the base if I wanted to because it will hang over. So if you want to keep it all picket and fit this on a 1x6, reduce this front a little bit.
Now, I know I said no farting in this video, but in my defense, I was wearing headphones and I thought this was a silent one. And you're probably saying, why didn't you just edit the fart out? You could have just edited it out. Well, that's not Jasco Goods. We don't edit out our mistakes on this channel. And if you're wondering what I'm cutting besides the cheese, these are all the roof panels. Speaking of mistakes.
All right, guys, I'm cutting on my roof piece and I just found a problem. When I put this on, I purposely overlapped this one so it would cover this gap. Can you see that gap back there? But now when I try to put the roof on, my roof hits it. The two roofs clash together. You see that? It's holding it up. I should have made this either lower because I had room to bring it down. You see how I could have brought this down. I made, because I had this piece on there. Don't mind all my gaps and stuff. You got a slow amateur woodworker working with Picket, so you gotta give me some grace. My measurements are so off that I have such a huge gap in there, I can get my saw behind it, like this. And I can cut some of this down. Hopefully I can like cut it right, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm trying to say. Hopefully I can fix it. I think I just gotta cut off this corner. I just wrecked this chisel, dropping it on the ground. Look at that. Badurr. And there we go, I call that a character mark. So I don't wanna leave the bottom edge of the roof, the part that's gonna be like right here. I don't wanna leave it all thin and sharp because this can happen. You see where the part of it broke off? So I'm gonna use my finger sander and I'm just gonna round over this edge a little bit and these corners so they don't get knocked off and splinter off of there.
Now I'm putting all the roofs together, but I'm not attaching them to the church yet. I'm gonna wait until I get the wires all into this thing, and then all I gotta do is put the roofs on. Now here's the last plan. It has all the roof dimensions on it. You can either screenshot it now, or you can wait and download it from the description later. So I'm cutting down my base, and it's roughly 12.5 by 5 3/4. But I didn't put it in the plans because you're gonna have to cut yours to match whatever final dimensions your church ends up being.
I saw that YouTube. It's not a Barbie, it's a Wonder Woman. She's an action figure. Get out of here, toy. So the last part I need for my church is a steeple, and I'm gonna cut that out of a 2x2 using my taper jig. I have a how-to video on how to make one of these, and I'll link it up here somewhere if you guys wanna watch it and figure out how to make one for yourself.
Now, if you don't have a taper jig and you still want to make one of these, you don't need to have one. You can cut this on your miter saw to the steepest your miter saw will go, or even 45 degrees would be fine, as long as you taper the top so it looks like the top of a church steeple.
Then I'm gonna put a second 2x2 behind this as a stop block. So that way as I take this off and flip it, it always ends up in the same spot. And I'm using my thin rib jig to keep it from coming away from the fence.
So now I just have to make my cut, then twist the 2x2 and make another cut until all 4 sides are cut. I try to get an awesome shot from above the table saw, but I forgot to turn on the camera, so all I got was me removing the 2x2 from the jig. Now I learned this technique from my years of making steaks as Chubby the Vampire Slayer. Then I just cleaned up all the edges with my little finger sander, all the saw marks that it made. Okay, that one does not count. It was not me, it was the cat. Don't act like you didn't do that, Hazel.
We need to put the window in our steeple, so I'm gonna use this center finder to find the center. And then I'm gonna bring that all the way to the top. And I'll come down about 1 inch from the edge before the peak starts. I'm gonna drill a hole with my 5/8 Forstner bit, and I'm gonna try to hold it as straight as I can. Okay, it's not as straight as I wanted it to go. I'm off a little bit. You can see where I end up on that side, where I started on this side. So from the end of my hole, I'm gonna come down another 5/8, so it looks sort of rectangular-y. And I'm gonna cut this off right there at that line. Okay, so now I'm gonna use my bandsaw to connect this to the bottom.
Then I'm gonna cut another section of 2x2, 3 inches long. This is the section that I cut the top off of, so I know it matches up perfectly. Then I'm gonna mark the center of that 2x2. Now would be a great time to have a carpenter's vise, but I don't have one. I gotta tap into my ghetto roots and improvise.
Now for this hole, I'm just using a 3/8 brad tip bit, but any 3/8 or close, you just need to get the wire through here. I feel like I'm going way off and I'm gonna come out of the side. I'm gonna flip this and do it from the other side. I think I started off just too gung-ho. That was much better. Okay, so now I got a hole all the way through.
Okay, so now I need to cut a 45 on the bottom of this thing. So I'm gonna use my speed square to mark it out. I'm gonna put this on the bottom so my speed square has a stop. And then I'm gonna make a 45 this way, then flip the speed square, make another 45. And then I gotta cut this bottom part out. I'm only cutting this bottom part out, but I like to bring the cut line all the way through so I can line it up with this line in here. And it helps keep it straight.
I tried to make this as perfect as a 45 as I could because it's going to sit on the peak of my roof. But the problem was my roof itself wasn't an exact 45, so I should have probably just traced the roof and then cut it out. I was able to open it up a little with the finger sander, so it turned out okay.
It looks like one of those little bookmark symbols.
Now this is probably way overkill, but my roof was a little bit rough because it's, you know, made out of a picket. So I try to smooth out the area where the steeple's gonna where the steeple's gonna sit. I try to say that 6 times fast.
Okay, I need to bring the hole through the roof, so I just put this on top, and I'm gonna use this as a guide.
Well, that worked pretty good. It's just like my wife tells me, even a fat clock eats more than twice a day.
Okay, so I got all my pieces ready except for the trim that I gotta do. But all the pieces are ready. I'm gonna wire the lights through. I put them on this board to make it easier to do. Okay, I'm gonna go in through the hole I have in the back first, and then just start feeding it through all the holes. You could put some nails inside if you wanted to make this easier, something to hold the wires onto. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna see how it flows without them, and then if I find it needs them, then maybe I can add them to it somewhere, or you can even shoot the nails from the outside on the back of it where nobody's gonna see them, and then you'll have the nails sticking through on the inside. If you use hot glue to hold the lights in, I would use low heat hot glue because you could melt the wiring, the protective coating on the wiring with the high heat, because I think this stuff's really thin. So I have holes in here. I'm just gonna loop it around inside of the part where all the people sit. That's not the steeple, right? The steeple's the top. I forget, I said what it was earlier and I can't remember. Oh, I went out through a window. It's kind of a stiff wire, so it should hold up. And I kind of want it to wrap around the windows. Now this is going to be kind of tricky getting it through this hole. Where do I want to go all the way to the bottom? I'll go all the way to the bottom, back down to the bottom. I'll come into the front door. Hold on, I got an idea. Stole my wife's little kitchen tongs. Now please don't tell my wife I stole her kitchen stuff to use in my woodworking. She hates when I do that. Then she's gonna be like, now my food tastes like sawdust. I'll tell you a secret, it already did taste like sawdust. I shouldn't have said that. Please don't repeat that. Don't tell her. I'm just gonna edit that out.
All right, I gotta speed this part up before I say something I really regret. I don't usually move this fast unless I'm in the bedroom. And I'm not actually moving, it's just over fast. Okay, now that I got all the wires in, I'm gonna put the bottom on this thing and get it all closed up.
Now I'm gonna use brads to put the base on.
Then I switch back to my pin nailer to put all the roofs on.
Someone asked me in my last video what a pin nailer was and if it was different than a brad nail. And yes, it is. It's the pin nailer doesn't have a head on it, for one. You see these have heads on them. This is the brad nails, and they're much thicker. These are just tiny little pins that kind of hold it in place until the glue dries. And they actually do have a little bit of force to them, but not as much as a brad nail.
Now I'm gonna sand down the point of my steeple because I got the idea to put a cross on top of it. You guys let me know if what you think.
I put marks on here so I could see where the front was. Now I'm gonna glue it back together. It's already glued in just the time it took me to reach for the clamp. It's already like stuck together. Now, and then if you have to, you can hit it up with it on the sander. If you have like a little bit of a line or anything in there, you got some glue.
Okay, so my steeple's done. You can glue that on and nail it and be done. This is great just like it is. We used little less than 2 pickets, and then we added a couple things to it. The steeple and then the base, because remember the base I couldn't get, it was a little too wide. So you can manipulate the plans a little and just use 2 pickets for this whole thing. You can even double up a picket and make a spiral, however you say that, not a spiral, whatever. steeple out of the Picket. But I want to fix it up. I want to trim it out a little bit. So I'm going to show you what I did, and then you guys can take it from here and you do whatever you want with it. You trick it out however you want.
Now I used Adobe Illustrator and I designed some doors and windows, and then I cut them out with my laser cutter. I'll add the cut file to the download in the description. Now before I cut them out, I painted the basswood plywood with this white water-based paint
because it's safe in the laser burner. It won't let off any fumes. So I'm going to use this 1/4" by 1/4" dowel, wood dowel. I got it out of this pack of assorted dowels that I got from Walmart. They're just assorted wooden dowels. They do naughty stuff. They're very assorted. I flatten the top of my steeple so that I can glue this to the top, glue a little cross to the top. I'm just using my pool saw to cut this.
Now I just used a little bit of CA glue and activator to put this cross together. Can I get an amen? Sorry my fat ham hock hand is in the way that you can't see what I'm doing, but I glued a white cross that I cut out on my laser cutter on top of the other cross to give it a two-tone effect. And I think God was guiding these chubby fingers because it came out really good. Now this might be overkill, but I drilled a little hole in the top of my spire, or whatever you call this thing, steeple. Then I drilled one in the bottom of the cross.
Then I'm gonna use this 1.5" 16 gauge brad nail, and I'm gonna cut the head off of it. Oh, I got it. I'm just gonna put a little CA glue on the nail.
Slide half into the steeple, put on a little bit more CA glue, then slide the cross on. Now you don't gotta worry about me making a fart noise while I'm sliding the cross on. I ain't trying to get struck by lightning.
Well, bam, look at that.
Then I took that same 1/4" material and I made a pop out around the steeple. Then I just used some wood glue and I attached the steeple to the church. But I didn't give the glue on the pop out enough time to dry, and this happened. Oh, crap. Not a big deal. I just re-glued the pop out back on, but this time I used some activator to speed up the process. Then I used a screw and I just attached the light box to the back of the church.
The reason I like to paint the material before I burn it, beep. The reason I like to paint the material before I burn it is because you get this 3D effect where you get the black burn marks where it cut it out. Otherwise, this would be all white. I just really like the way it like pops out.
Then I just attached all the doors and windows with some CA glue.
The last building I did, I made some snow. I showed you guys how to make some snow. Everybody told me, just go buy the can of snow and spray it on there. I'm really afraid that this is gonna ruin this thing because I really like the way it looks right now. But I think snow, if it comes out okay, it could enhance it. Let me know what you guys think. If this is a mistake, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna spray this on there and we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
One thing I noticed right away was it's not as easy to control as it is when I'm just using my mix with a paintbrush. This is like spattering all over and getting on the sides where I don't want it to be, but hopefully I can get it off. One good thing is it does look more like real snow than my mix did.
24 hours later.
All right, everybody that suggested for me to use the spray can snow instead of wasting my time mixing my own, let me show you what the spray can snow did.
It all dried and cracked up. Hopefully I can get this off of here and it didn't ruin it. I don't know if there's different spray snow that I should have used. I just bought the only one they had at Walmart. This was the spray snow. It's too dry out here in Las Vegas to do any of this stuff. Stuff's like, it didn't even really dry. It's still like powder. And this is the one I used. I don't know if there's a different kind or if I used the wrong one. Let me know in the comments, but I think my stuff worked better.
So luckily a lot of it vacuumed off with just a regular shop vac because it didn't really do anything. It just dried into powder. Then I used my sister's toothbrush to scrape the rest of it off. And don't worry, I washed it with paint thinner before I gave it back to her.
I'm gonna use my snow mix that I used in the last video. It's pretty much just baking soda and Mod Podge and a little bit of white paint. And then if you want, you can sprinkle some glitter on top. I always want to call those sprinkles. I actually did in the last video.
Then I just put it on with a paintbrush. Let me guys know if you think it was better without the snow, if just the plain wood.
I think I left the snow too thick this time and my mixture. I think I left it too thick, and I was getting bubbles, like dots in the front here when I was heating it up. So I tried to do another coat with the end of what was left, and it doesn't look good. So I think I'm gonna mix up some lighter stuff and go over the whole thing again. And I'm just having a hard time with the snow on this one. If you guys saw my last video, I got this box of 30 trees for 15 bucks. Well, now they raised the price. It's like $19.99 for 30 trees. So now it's like 60 some cents a tree. I pull the base off of them. It's just this little wood base that's glued on. And then it's just a piece of wire.
Now all I gotta do is drill a little hole on the front porch and then slide the tree right in.
Another thing I got was all this fencing. It was $16 when I bought it, and it came with a lot. And now it's like $22. And I think what's happening is they have to raise all the prices for everything so they can lower them for Black Friday.
That's just a wire that holds all the pickets together. I think the pickets are wood, so I'm just gonna bend it on the corner and then cut it with some side cutters. I put a little bit of CA glue on the pickets and then tacked them on with my pin nailer.
All right, guys, she's all done. The only one thing left to do, light her up for you. Let you see what it looks like with the lights on. Well, what do you think? I think it came out pretty good for being a couple picket fences and some scrap wood. Part of me wishes I would have stopped before I put on the snow and all the other stuff. I kind of like that plain look. But hey, I wanted to take it all the way and see what I could turn it into. So let me know what you guys think. Did you like it better before I put the snow on and all the other stuff? Or did you just like the plain look where it was just the wood? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I read all the comments. It may take me a little bit to answer them, but I try to respond to every comment. I love that you guys give me feedback. If you build one, please put it on my community page so everybody can see it and I can see it and I can see what you did differently. I wish you guys some happy holidays. Now get to building.
Welcome to the holiest rave of the year. Get out your Bibles and your lighters, baby. Church rave.